The background of red-cockaded woodpeckers, or RCW as we call them, they tend to occur in these more open pine forests in the southeast. They also need kind of an open mid-story like this, which is kept this way with fires. Historically, fires used to occur in these habitats every 1 to 3 years. So on base, we try to mimic that with a 3-year fire rotation. Another thing that happens on base frequently is fires due to training. Training starts a lot of fires on base. You know, fire, it beats back hardwoods. It also is beneficial to a lot of herbaceous layer plant species, which are important for RCW ecology.
The RCWs are very unique. They're the only species of woodpecker in North America that actually utilizes live pine trees. They're a primary cavity excavator. They come in and they create this resource that ultimately gets utilized by tons of other species, and they're just fascinating group of birds. A cluster is nomenclature that we use to indicate a grouping of red-cockaded woodpecker or RCW cavity trees. Camp Lejeune's population is really unique in that it's been utilized over the decades for research in order to help expand RCWs across the southeastern United States. A lot of that research has happened here, and so that's where part of what we do is continue collecting all of that data so that if we have questions, or when questions come up in the future, we can look at our data and help to fill in holes.
For them to be able to excavate the cavity out of a living pine tree, the tree needs to be about 60 to 80 years old. So typically you will not see these birds outside of military bases now, or state forests, national parks, places like that. So a restricted cluster has white paint bands 200 feet out from the cavity trees. And within that white buffer that's around that cluster, Marines can only do certain things inside that cluster. You know, they can still walk through the cluster. They can fire blanks. They can dig hasty positions as long as they fill them back up. You can drive through a cluster. You just can't do stuff for extended periods of time, more than a couple of hours. The blue bands in restricted sites will have a white band through the middle. In those restricted sites, we ask Marines not to drive within 50 feet of the cavity trees, so that helps them kind of stay 50 feet away.
So for our process to band nestlings, as we monitor them until they get within the window that it's safe for us to go up and pull them out. Then we climb up the tree, we pull them out of their cavity, bring them back down to the ground, put color bands on them, which is a way for us, it's basically a visual name for each individual bird. So we can come out later with our spotting scopes and be able to identify an individual bird and know exactly who it is and what cluster did it come from. So it's like a first and last name for them. I love seeing the change over time and getting to be in a population, being able to watch groups that have appeared and established themselves while I was here, or groups that I've worked on helping to establish, and actually seeing them succeed is just really satisfying. And watching this population grow, it's just been amazing.
Yeah, EMD goal in support of the red-cockaded woodpeckers is, to get to our recovery goal of 173. And most likely we'll grow above that. Once we get there, we can take restrictions off. Well, without EMD's help, the RCW population on Camp Lejeune would probably have stayed static. It's especially great to work on Camp Lejeune as a biologist. I spend the mornings sometimes down on the beach doing sea turtle work, and then in the afternoons up here in the uplands working with red-cockaded woodpeckers. So I don't know if I could ask for anything more than that.